and welcome to another episode hosted by me, Chuck, and my channel 2MMRC. Today we're going to talk about my Express AT1 and my most recent setup at Club Race. Got this car into the A main. After the first couple heats, I was in Q1. Ultimately, something happened in the main. Wasn't able to finish. Basically, the body started dragging. I should have checked my ride height. That's something you should regularly do. So, one of those things. I pulled over. You got to be respectful of the carpet and of the facility. So, one thing right off the top that I've changed is I'm using this new body. Don't know if you can fully see it there, but it is the Protoform Venturi body. Protoform Venturi is going to replace what I was previously using, which was the BAWA, or the BWOAH, B-W-O-A-H. Very similar in design. I think this is based off of like a Lexus hypercar or something, whereas the BWOAH is based off of an Aston Martin. So this car has very similar properties that I'm finding. One thing that I'm really liking is the front. The front end here is a lot more smoother than the BWOAH. Yeah, this is the Protoform Venturi, by the way. Yeah, the Protoform Venturi. I like it for a couple of reasons. One of them being the front of the car is very smooth and form-fitting. I found the BWOAH a little bit had some hard angles on it. Primarily right on the very front of the fenders here, there were like these two hard nipples. These hard nipples right at the front tended to crack pretty quickly after a couple of runs. No nipples on this car, so there's no cracks. So that's what I'm finding right now. And also, because it's a Protoform, it's easily available at my local hobby stores, and I'm picking this up, not a problem. So that's the body. And here's the car. Express AT1. So right off the bat, I've swapped to a silver chassis because the carbon one kind of got scratched in the summertime. It happens. I could continue using the carbon one, but this silver one looked really cool. It's out of, well, I got it on online, but it's out of a guy in Kentucky who's manufacturing them. I don't know the name off the top of my head. I'm sorry. Can't do a plug. But yeah, if you go on to like just a Google search for Express AT1 silver chassis, you'll be able to find it pretty quickly. It's got some vents in there. I don't know if they do anything. The car still weighs the same, which is 1360. 1350 is the weight limit of our scale spec 21.5 cars. But yeah, this one's 10 over. It's a shaft drive. It's going to be heavier. Seems to operate fine though. What else do I have in this car? Oh yeah, the electronics have been markered red. That was covered in a previous Ghetto Tune video. So I got the power capacitor markered in red, the radon speed control markered in red. I got the 21.5 Helix, that's anodized in red. The Power HD R12, I didn't have to marker that in red because I put the big power cap on top. Redline battery. It's a Redline 6000. I go back and forth between a 6000 and an 8000. 8000s tend to carry a lot more voltage through the entire race. They are a little heavier though. One thing I'm trying different this year are these tires. Well, the tires are the same. It's the US GT ride tire, but it's on a gray wheel, and the gray wheel signifies that these tires are belted. That's going to mean that hopefully I don't go through as many tires. I had to buy 2 sets last year. This year, I'm hoping I can go through 1 set and last it through the entire season. I did notice, well, people in the club noticed that with the US GT tire, the treads don't wear out, but they seem to get thinner from the inside. With these belted tires, we're hoping that's not going to happen. These tires will not balloon, hopefully. We'll see how it works out. Very curious. I am happy with the performance. So far, it's been consistent, and that's the key thing. Gear ratio right now is, I believe, 4.3. 4.3 with a 21.5 Helix allows this car to have a lot of torque in, well, yeah, a lot of torque through the entire track, essentially. Yeah. What else to talk about here? 1 degree camper all around. Ride height is pretty straightforward. It's 5.5 and 6. So 5.5 in the front, 6 in the back. One of the cool things that I'm trying this year is my rear tow control. I've mentioned this previous videos. So that rear tow control, similar to the XQ11 I went over. So I've got it going from 4 degrees to 0. 4 to 0, 4 to 0, 4 to 0. I like how it whips around the corners, and that helps make the car feel like it's fast. I think it is a lot faster. Again, I was able to have this in contention for top qualifier through most of the club race, most of the recent club race, anyways. Paired with a 10,000 rear diff, that really allows the car to whip around and basically launch itself out of corners, which I really like. Also, we are trying I'm trying something different here. I'm using 4-degree rear hubs. That's going to give me the feel of anti-squat, because essentially, instead of being straight, the car's suspension is at an angle. It's a little bit of an anti-squat, not too much, because the actual anti-squat would be at the bottom of the car. Also on top of that, the 4-degree hubs will allow the car to shrink its suspension under compression. So with a shorter suspension, it will help with that feeling of whipping around the corners. That's the intention. That's what I like about the car. Having a faster rear is something that's very new, well, relatively new to me. I only started realizing that with my BD8 in 2017, which brings me to, I guess, a talking point. 2017 is when I really started to understand the more modern suspensions. Before that, it was always like, a standard typical car. And then I jumped into a Sakura, played around with those for 5 years. Then I started to realize, man, this Sakura is really limiting. The plastics break very easily. It's hard to get the parts when they're not in stock at one certain retailer, which is RC Mart. No one else carries the car. I guess with this car too, well, there's only one retailer now that I use, which is RC Mart, but I just found parts to be a little harder to get with the 3 Racing product. Also, I went through parts a lot faster because the plastics weren't as strong as this or the Yokomo. The Yokomo, man, that was a huge change. And I got to give props to my buddy Tiny. And again, it's not like he was trying to sell the Yokomo onto me. It's just I had had enough of the Sakura, driving it for 5 years. And I decided, okay, it's time for a change. So on a whim, I just messaged Tiny and said, hey, what's the price of a 2017 BD8? He gave me a price, and off I went. Basically said, yeah, man, cool. Give me 2 of those cars, and I'll meet you at the parking lot of a porno shop tonight. And don't know why I'm mentioning that, but the porno shop, it's not like we had a porno shop thing. It's just the parking lot of the porno shop was central, for where he was coming from and from where I was coming from. So that's the story of me meeting a buddy at a porno shop and picking up 2 RC cars. And with the BD8, I started to realize the quality of plastics was so much different from what I was previously running, which was a 3 Racing car. And also the BD8, a couple months after building it and racing it and doing well, Ryan introduced the rear tow control to me. And I was like, wow, I could stay on power and whip around turns. That was so revolutionary for me that I haven't gone back. And that's since 2017. It's now 2023. So yeah, for the last 6 years, I've been enjoying rear tow control. And I really like it on all of my cars. So I do have to give credit, thank you to Tiny for helping me out with that, getting me to understand it. And yeah, thank you for meeting me at the parking lot of a porno shop in the middle of the night. Anyways, just wanted to share my setup, and my story. Thanks a lot, guys. One final thing I wanted to mention, which I had forgotten, I'm now adding this onto the video at the very end here, is my roll centers. I've changed them from my asphalt setup, so I've actually got the pills up to lower the roll centers. I've got all the pills, all the eccentric bushings are up. Front, front, rear, rear, front, and rear, rear. All of them are up. Also, I've got on the rear camber link in the center there, if you can see it. Don't know if you can see through that hole, but that is 2 millimeters. And on the front, right there, that is 3 millimeters on the front and 2 millimeters on the back. So those are the roll centers. Other than that, yeah, I think I've covered the basics of what this setup is. And yeah, that's what I really wanted to touch. That and talk about the porn shop and where I started understanding about rear toe control. Okay, have a good night.